Burnout Jeffrey Lebowski is attacked in his own home, nearly drowns in his own toilet, has his rug peed on, the one that really ties the room together, and has the ceramic tile in his bathroom broken by his own bowling ball.
Put that coffee down.
Creators are leaders. Be careful what kind of leaders you're producing here.
Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman.
They realized that to be in power, you didn't need guns or money or even numbers. You just needed the will to do what the other guy wouldn't.
I'm not leaving. The show goes on.
Well, hello there, friends. Welcome back to the Construction Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Bradley Hartman. Now, over the next 2 weeks, we are going to be running a mini series of sorts of podcasts that kind of tie in directly to our construction leadership newsletter. Why? Well, we are preparing to launch our second cohort of the OSR Academy. OSR stands for Outside Sales Rep, and it's our 12-month development program that creates construction sales pros who know how to deliver value first and make the lives of those who build America easier. However, if you are not in sales specifically, and we'll address this because I got news for you, everybody is selling something. Leaders more than just about anyone. So this isn't purely sales. And what I'm about to say is anyone who's listening to this, you will stand to benefit by exposing yourself to these principles. And I think for sales pros who are in the construction industry, this is a fastball down the middle. However, for everybody else, this might be, if I can continue with the analogy, maybe it's a fastball just a little bit upstairs. Still a really good pitch, still might be a strike, but just a little bit high in the zone. All that is to say, if you are not strictly in sales, hold on. Don't just turn this episode off and move forward, because I know there's many of you out there who are really focused on leadership, less so in the sales department. But here was our thought. The best way we could think of to launch this was simply give away some of the best, most relevant training tools and mental models that are in the OSR Academy to anyone that wanted them. And if you were to find this content helpful, then someone on your team may be a good fit for the OSR Academy and one of the handful of seats that are still remaining. But we know that the OSR Academy is not for everyone, for folks that sign up by June. Now, I do not want to bury the lead here. What is the OSR Academy? Briefly, it is your personal LBM farm system to develop your next sales MVP. Me and my team and our clients, we got so frustrated with dealing with salespeople that are out there in the modern world, dealing with busy construction professionals who didn't know how to sell effectively. And we were getting called in before these folks were either getting fired or improving, and there's a lot of stress and frustration. And obviously, the thought was, how do we develop these people with these skills before they go on the road? So the OSR Academy, it's a 12-month program. It's online, it's offline, it's small cohort with folks all across the country to help them to improve. So when they do get out in the field and are confronted with prospects and customers, they already have the skill set to truly be professional. And Lord knows, there's way too many terrible salespeople in our industry. This is the program to help develop them ahead of time. So the OSR Academy, it's the only 12-month blended learning, lumber and building materials specific sales program on earth. And it was designed per the exact specification of some of the country's best LBM firms and regularly features LBM industry experts. We bring in home builders, we bring commercial GC owners, and we also bring in outside experts because they have fantastic stuff that we have invested in, like Mike Weinberg on sales-specific content, and Mr. Rich Horwath, who is a strategy guru who works with companies like Google and Microsoft and Pfizer. So anyway, over the next couple episodes and in conjunction with our newsletter, the Construction Leadership Newsletter, if you're not part of that, you, my friend, you are missing out. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving away the most relevant, insightful, and helpful content to help people now. And we're saying, hey, if you like this, well, the OSR Academy might be a fit for you. However, it's not a cheap date. If you sign up by Friday, June 23rd, the investment for this 12-month program is $18,495. If you do not sign up by then, it's going to be $1,000 more. So that's right. It's 20 grand for 12 months. So yes, not a small ticket item. And for many of you folks, you're like, nope, not for me. We don't pay for that sort of thing. That's okay. But for those that this has resonated, that they've invested in Cohort 1, and nearly every company that was invested in Cohort 1 is also sending people to Cohort 2. So that certainly is fantastic feedback for us. We're doing a lot of things right. We're helping people. Here's the question mark. If you want to have a salesperson, you want them to sell 2 million, 5 million, depending on your market, 10 million. What is the cost of helping to prepare them to do that? Number one, do you have those capabilities? And number two, what would be the cost internally or externally at your corporation to help develop someone over 12 months? Again, kind of using this baseball analogy of the farm system. We put them in single A, they do better. We bring them to double A, they do better. We bring them to triple A. By the time they reach the majors, they are ready to be professionals. And I don't have to tell you this because I know you're listening right now. You can think of a handful of salespeople that are unprofessional. These are amateur sales pros that are wasting our time, attention, and energy and are not helping us build America. So enough said. So what do we got coming in here? Why is this worth your time here? I'm going to go over the 4 different pieces of content that we will be giving away. And then this episode will transition to the first part of this, where we're giving away one of the most important skills that anyone, and I mean anyone, this can be a foreman, this can be a CEO, this can be a project manager, and of course, any salesperson. This is how you methodically create a relevant business case to be more persuasive, to help other people get what they want while you get what you want. We call this pain quantification, and that's the first thing that we're going to be giving away. And everything we're giving away includes at least a video, probably audio as well on a couple of them off the top of my head, as well as PDF. So the idea is we're going to give you these tools, use them with your team. If it's relevant for the OSR Academy and you're interested, you want to talk to us about it, you want to enroll, fantastic. If not, that's cool too. It's not for everybody. Take it, use these tools to help your team be better. So here's what we're giving away. This first one is pain quantification. As soon as I run through the remaining 4 here of what we're giving away, I'm going to go and teach you that here. And I would say this is arguably the most important skill anyone can develop. It's the ability to collaboratively quantify how much pain someone is in first before devising a solution. It clarifies the goal and limits haggling and negotiation later. Develop the skill, and I promise you it will change your life. This is how you make a business case. And anyone listening, anyone that works with you would be better off and be more persuasive and a better leader if they understood how to do this. So that's the first one we're going to be giving away. That's here today. That's this episode. Number 2, we're going to be giving away a construction-specific case study. Now, much of the construction industry consists of well-meaning and hardworking people frantically and reactively sprinting from one fire to the next. However, proactive, thoughtful planning is always in short supply. But let me ask you, how do you train your team to think better? Well, we've developed our very own construction-specific case studies to help teams think better. And here, we're going to share our most popular case study, and it's called What's the Key to TKG? Now, this one's kind of interesting. I won't nerd out on it right now. However, but it features a very close friend of mine in his company called the Kruger Group, based in Cleveland, and kind of blends fact and fiction to really help people think better. I'm really passionate, and I think there's a ton of promise about this idea of construction-specific case studies. We own the URL right now, constructioncasestudies.com. We've developed 4, and I want to build out an entire library of case studies to help teams think better. And if you think about most of our educational system and your experience in the classroom, a lot of it was about the sage on the stage. We have a professor, we have a smart person who's up there, and they're kind of just spraying a bunch of information and stats at us. We kind of soak it all in, and we ask this question, will this be on the test? Many of us, that largely explains our educational experience until you get to the real world. And then you realize it's all about how you think and how you process new information, how you ask questions, and how ultimately you make a decision. And you can imagine if someone going to medical school, all they did was learn about anatomy and the different organs and how the body worked, but they never actually got to work on a cadaver or actual human people before becoming a quote unquote doctor, right? That would be horrifying. What do? Well, they get in there, they actually work on real patients, they work on cadavers, they try to figure out with hands-on information on how to think better before we truly get out in the real world. That's what case studies can really help us do. Harvard Business School has made millions of dollars over the year and really created this really huge library of case studies for business schools. I've been exposed to many of them when I was getting my MBA, and what I found was they're really long, they're really detailed. In some cases, they're kind of boring, and it's just a lot of reading. And obviously, those are really successful. Our approach is, what if it was that idea, still a case study, right? And a case study generally focuses on 3 different aspects. Is a specific decision required to be made? Is there an in-depth evaluation that kind of lays out the pros and cons? Do we need to think about that? Or is this a problem diagnosis where we get a bunch of information and we're trying to figure out, of all this information and noise that's out there, what exactly is the problem? That to me sounds like the real world. And we said, what if we took that idea and kind of the Harvard Business School case study, but we made them smaller, we made them more entertaining, they were fun to read, they were much shorter, and again, they're super relevant to what we're dealing with. And just like life, there's a really pragmatic way to approach any case study, right? You understand, all right, is this an evaluation? Is this a problem diagnosis? Is there a decision that needs to be made? What sort of options do we have in front of us? What sort of criteria might be useful in helping us make this decision? What sort of evidence do we have, qualitative, quantitative, etc., to really make this? Then we analyze it, and then we determine the next thing that needs to happen. We make a decision. This sort of thinking is often done by business leaders really, really well, and it's done automatically. And it's also done extremely poorly, and people trust their gut too much, and they do not come up with nearly an extensive list of alternatives and options available to them, and they make a choice and a decision that is suboptimal. And in the rearview mirror, oftentimes when we get involved as a consultant, we said, well, all right, clearly that was not the right decision. What do we do now? However, hundreds of hours is lost at that time. Millions of dollars, either in direct costs or indirect costs, have already been consumed, and now we're working back. So how do we get our teams to think better? Now, I'm rambling here. I love this idea of case studies. I love the way that we've set this up too. We've got a friend of mine who's a really good case study author. His name is Dr. Ben Bigelow. He runs the construction management department at the University of Oklahoma. Ben comes in, and the way we triangulate this is we have a construction professional who says, I've got a case study for you. Let me tell you what's happened. So Ben and I get together, we hear the story, we ask a bunch of questions, we get the facts of the case. Then Ben goes, who writes case studies at the university level. He kind of writes the general corpus or the body of this case study and kind of lays out the facts, asks some questions. I then take this and then I normally embellish it quite a bit. I make it a little more fun reading. I try to add in a bunch of entertainment, and I try to bring in some of the characters that I know or have known on the job site and throughout our business experiences to bring these to life and to make them fun. So that's been our process to write the current 4 that we've written. And our goal is to pretty much write 1 per quarter for the rest of my life. So that's the goal. That's what we are giving away here in round 2 of giving away our best stuff. So we're going to give the entire case study away. We're going to give the questions. And the goal is share this with your team, think through the ramifications, and help your team think better. Number 3 here is improving your movie trailer pitch. In storytelling and in life, the first rule is this: don't be boring. And despite the fact we work in the most exciting industry this side of professional sports, you can ask just about anyone what they do for a living, and you'll hear something boring. What do you do? I sell lumber. Oh, what do you do? I work in concrete. We are so bad as an industry in explaining in exciting terms what we do. This is why we're struggling to attract new talent to the industry. This is why people continue to say, it's just a kind of an unsexy industry. No, it's not. We're just not that creative and articulate in telling people all the exciting stuff we're doing to build our modern world. So I get kind of excited when we get rolling here. We're just really bad at storytelling. We're going to help solve that problem at number 3. And number 4, we are going to give away a chapter and a few key mental models when it comes to negotiating in the construction industry. People in the construction industry negotiate every single day. But let me ask you, how many among your team have had any formal training on the topic? Exactly. So here in the 4th giveaway going on a week from now, I will share a chapter in my upcoming book on intelligent and intentional negotiation skills for the construction industry. You're going to learn how to build stronger relationships while earning better terms and getting more of what you want. I promise you that. All right, so that is what's coming ahead. We're giving away all the stuff. If you're interested in the OSR Academy, great. If not, take it, use it. So that brings us to the title of this episode, The Hero Must Suffer: How to Develop a Persuasive Business Case to Get What You and They Want. As always, thank you for listening. You, sir, have got yourself a $1.4 million problem. Do I? That sounds really high, I said dismissively. Look at the board, man, the sales rep fired back. You gave me all these figures. This is what you said. I simply wrote them down. Now, this guy wasn't wrong. When I told him I was in the process of replacing a supplier, he didn't start rambling on about things I didn't care about, like most sales hacks do. He simply asked if he could use the whiteboard on my wall and proceeded to ask me a couple dozen questions. How many units were we going to build? How many deliveries? What is the estimated OTIF, that is, on time in full, percentage of the current supplier? Who does it all affect? Concrete guys? Mason? Carpenter? And what about the painter? How much of your time does this waste? What's the opportunity cost? This cat had an endless reservoir of curiosity about how this supplier, which was his competitor, was making my life and the lives of my teammates actually managing the project hell on earth. I rolled my eyes and said, come on, man, can you quit the game of 1 million questions and simply pitch me like every other salesperson? No, quiet. Answer the last question, Hartman. How much? This sales guy was barely concealing his joy in making me suffer. All the scribbles on the whiteboard were in neat little organized lines. He was like a fourth grader showing off his multiplication and addition skills. In a circle at the bottom was $1.4 million. He said, fine then, let's just say your detailed answers, the one that you just gave me about your current circumstances. He then cut himself off for dramatic effect. I thought, this guy, he's pretty good. So let's just say, he says, these numbers are off by half. Yeah, let's do that, I said. I felt like I was giving a medieval executioner more rope to simply wrap around my neck. Fine then, he said. You, my friend, you've got yourself a $700,000 problem. Are you happy? The hero must suffer. I first learned of this foundational storytelling principle from Steven Pressfield. He's a fantastic writer and equally skilled at teaching how fantastic writers think and write. Now, if you don't own a copy of Steven Pressfield's The War of Art, stop listening to this right now and buy it on Amazon. It's one of the 3 books I read every single year, and it's amazing. I guarantee you it's 100% applicable to something that you are dealing with right now. Steven Pressfield also wrote the book, The Legend of Bagger Vance, that starred Matt Damon and Will Smith. Terrible movie, really, really good book. Now, I want you to think about your favorite movie, and I want you to think about how the hero suffers. Luke Skywalker, he loses his hand, tries to date his sister, and learns his mortal enemy is his father.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
No, it's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
In Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne's wife is murdered. He's convicted for it. He spends 28 years in prison, is assaulted by Boggs and the sisters. He sees his old friend, literally, he was an old guy, Brooks, hang himself. And ultimately, Andy Dufresne army crawls through 1,000 yards of human waste. That is suffering.
Mexico is way the hell down there, and you're in here, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, right. That's the way it is. It's down there and I'm in here. I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
Burnout Jeffrey Lebowski is attacked in his own home, nearly drowns in his own toilet, has his rug peed on, the one that really, really ties the room together, and has the ceramic tile in his bathroom broken by his own bowling ball. And that's all in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
No, don't do that. Not on the rug, man.
See what happens, Lebowski? You see what happens?
Nobody calls me Lebowski. You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Your name's Lebowski. Your wife is Bunny.
My wife, Bunny? Do you see a wedding ring on my finger? Does this place look like I'm married? The toilet seat's up, man.
The hero must suffer. But why? Pressfield writes, why can't the hero just be happy? Wouldn't that work just as well in a story? Answer, no. The hero has to suffer because suffering produces insight. Suffering leads to wisdom. Suffering forces the hero to change. Now, back to me and the sales guy that I was dealing with. Actually, not just a guy. He was a professional. He was not a sales amateur by any stretch of the imagination. He says, now, while $700,000 is a really big number, the good news is that I believe we can help you solve it for a fraction of that. Now, prior to awarding him the work, I tried to negotiate. Obviously, that's what I do. That was part of my job as a professional buyer. My goal was to retain maximum value while unilaterally lowering the investment. He said, dude, what are you doing? He was like offended. I said, what? I'm just sharing with you that you're 2% high on these products in your bid. Can you, sharpen your pencil a bit? No, I can't. Here's why. On our very first meeting, Hartman, you and I agreed that you had conservatively a $700,000 problem on your hands. Now, this proposal I gave you, it's our best and final offer to solve the problem together. So now you've got a decision to make. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? Now, right now, you are surely in the act of selling something because everyone is selling something. Now, maybe it's a product, maybe it's an idea, maybe it's a behavior you want to see more of from your team. Or maybe you're selling yourself, and maybe you're selling to your boss or a client or a prospect or a subcontractor or a spouse. You need to make them the hero. Understand their pain deeply. Ask questions, then ask more questions. You got to make the hero suffer. And then you quantify the hero's pain. And then you agree on the value of that pain. Then, and only then, do you sell your solution. The challenge is it takes restraint and patience and persistence to withhold your knowledge of how to fix the problem, of how to eliminate the pain of your hero. But you must, because you are not the hero. You're not going to fly in and save the day with your knowledge and expertise. You are not the hero. They are. And the hero must suffer. The suffering brings insight, wisdom, and change. All right, so that is the concept the hero must suffer. Here's the training element of this. We have done this with thousands of people in the construction industry. We have a short voicemail from a builder on the south side of Chicago who is going to list a whole number of issues that he is dealing with. His name is Jimmy. And Jimmy the builder, he's got problems. We're going to share that voicemail with you, and then we're going to give you a PDF template that you can share with your team to get everyone thinking about how to do what we just talked about here, of how to make the hero suffer, to ask some questions, and to quantify the pain. And what we have seen in this specific training tool with this voicemail and getting people to work together to think about it is sometimes people believe Jimmy has a $75,000 problem. And sometimes it's a $500,000 problem. Sometimes it's a multi-million-dollar problem. And sometimes we can realistically argue that Jimmy has a $10 million problem. How? It's simply thinking about the opportunity cost and the pain that somebody is in the construction industry. So if you'd like to get that, obviously you are listening to this as a podcast, you need to get on our construction leadership newsletter. Again, this is all 100% free. We're giving this away to try to share some of the best tools that are part of the OSR Academy. If you dig this and you want more of it and you're going to see it helps your team, then the OSR Academy might be a fit for you. Maybe not. That's what we're going to figure out together. But if you want to be part of this, you want to get the audio voicemail, you want to get the PDF download to share with your team to help them think better, you can email me directly at bradley@bradleyhartmanandco.com. We'll get you added to the distribution list. You'll get a video that does a quick overview, shorter than this podcast episode, as it turns out. And then you'll get the PDF, and then you'll get the voicemail, and then share it with your team. Get them thinking better. Otherwise, what we have coming up next, we're going to give away this case study I talked about. We're going to help people introduce themselves in a more exciting way, something we call our movie trailer pitch. Obviously, yes, we like movies. We're going to leverage that. And then lastly, next week, we're going to give away one of the chapters from my new book on construction-specific negotiation skills. And we're going to teach a few of the most important mental models to help you be a more intelligent and intentional negotiator. All that's coming up. We love nothing more than giving away some of our best stuff to help you and then getting your reaction from that. And I know that we are going to sell out like we did Cohort 1. We are going to sell out Cohort 2. So if you are interested in from September of 2023 to August of 2024, help your salesperson, help your business development manager, help anyone get prepared to be a more effective, thoughtful, and generous sales professional in the construction industry, that's what the OSR Academy does. So that's all I've got. Thank you for listening. Again, if you want any of these tools, the video, the audio, the PDFs that we're giving away, 4 rounds of it, 4 rounds of content, email me directly at bradleyhartmanandco.com, or you can go to our website, again, bradleyhartmanandco.com, scroll down to the bottom and sign up for our newsletter. And you're going to get all that content. And then once that's done at the end of next week, we're going to be back on our regularly scheduled newsletter delivery that goes out every other week, where we're trying to share the best tips to help you be a better leader in our industry. That's all I've got. Thank you for listening. We're going to close out like we always do with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first. Make it a great week.